Who remembers playing dress up as a child? The beautiful thing about being a child is that nothing is impossible, and we're able to create and be whoever we want. Today, we whisk away to Madrid, España, to visit Lou Stokes, who's been helping women all over the globe be able to find their personal style and personal voice from within. Everyone, thank you for joining us on the 7-day of Wonderment journey. Today's guest, I'm really excited to introduce. Her name is Lou Stokes. She is a style consultant, confidence coach, international speaker, and published author. And today we're going to take a journey through textile, touch, and what one could argue even sight, because it's all about the journey of finding your authentic self and expressing that through the power of playing dress up. Thank you, Lou, for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you have this beautiful, varied experience, right? And you've also traveled all over the world. Give us a little bit of background on how your love for fashion and more importantly, your mission to have women really truly connect with who they are so that they can express that, which I always feel like it's a form of art, right? The way you come out with your authentic look is truly an art form. So how did that whole journey start for you?
Yeah, sure. Great question. So basically, I've always been a lover of fashion and style from such an early age. In fact, my mum is very into fashion and music. So it was impregnated in my life from a very young age. And I was continuously wearing her clothes, wearing her high heels, painting my lips, just basically having a good time as a young child playing dress up and creating my own kind of characters. And I've got some great pictures actually of like in her high heel shoes with like a massive gap at the back.
I love those pictures.
Yeah. So yeah, and I just think, it was my mum who definitely kind of instigated that intrigue and curiosity in me of, clothes and music, to be perfectly honest. And I think they're very linked as well, because music again is an expression of who you are.
Yeah.
And just like our clothes and the way we dress is an expression of who we are. You said an art form. So it really did start from a very early age, and I became very curious about different cultures as well, and the way people dress and why they dress in a certain way. And that really led me to then go and study fashion. I studied at London College of Fashion. Then I went to Central St. Martin's and I did styling and journalism, fashion journalism. And I guess my journey with style has really been actually a very spiritual journey and a very awakening journey for me, because there I was, this young playful child dressing up in my mum's clothes, but then later on in my early 20s I developed an eating disorder. And so I began to hide behind my clothes. So I started to wear dark clothes, baggy clothes, to hide my frail, thin body. And it wasn't until a couple of years later, when I started to really heal myself from that, that I began to realize how our clothes are really they're basically a way of saying how we feel, and we don't even realize it. Like the majority of people just put clothes on just because we have to get dressed every day, right? But no one, or very few people, are really thinking about how they feel and what they're wearing. And so with this experience, with this eating disorder, I suddenly realized that the way I was dressing was a reflection of how I was feeling on the inside.
That's a very powerful connection. And you're right. I think some people don't either connect with it or they downplay it. So they'll just say, oh, I'm just a sweats, athletic wear girl, which is fine with that, because that's leisure wear, obviously right now has completely shifted. It's not the same way that it was when I was growing
when I was growing up. But yeah, I think there's a disconnect. What would you say in a time like we're in right now, would be advice to have people just really reconnect with that? Because right now we're just meeting this way. So you could easily fall into the not wanting to dress up, but to your point, it's a reflection of how you're feeling. So do you have any advice do you give your clients advice during this time?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of women that I've been speaking to, clients, they've been saying how they feel like they're going through a transition. Many of them. I have some that are like just basically wearing loungewear all day because they don't see the point in getting dressed. And I've actually written a few articles on this. And here's the thing, like loungewear can be really cool. But if you think about it, it's called loungewear for a reason. So if you're working from home and you want to feel empowered and inspired, especially if you're, a businesswoman or a business person or an entrepreneur or whatever, or even if you're really just working for a company and you're in corporate, it's like, how do you want to feel when you open up a computer every day and you're having your Zoom meetings? Do you want to feel like in pajama mode? Or do you want to feel like, yes, I'm ready to tackle my day? Like it has been proved that the clothes we wear affect our productivity. And so, if you're just sitting in your yoga pants working, you're not supposedly going to be producing and feeling the same as if you were, wearing something that made you feel more empowered and inspired. And here's the thing, like things like loungewear and like activewear, they're named that for a reason.
Yes.
I mean, I've had some conversations with people that say to me, I actually feel really creative when I'm in loungewear. But again, that's an association that we can have with a type of clothes. But, if you're going to go and speak on camera in front of people, wouldn't it be better to feel more empowered? And, like we've all experienced this. When you look in the mirror and you're wearing something that makes you feel really good, you totally feel different. And the way you show up is going to be completely different than if you were just wearing something that's a bit, blah.
Would you say that just the world of textiles, right? Because it's touch, it's clothing, it's in many ways a way for people there was a point I was trying to make and I just lost it, but it was important to the conversation we're having because it's less about that someone has to dress up. It's more about the journey of what that makes them feel like.
Right, exactly.
Because clothes even though it's an item and it's a textile, there's actually a history to that piece being made as well. So there's some synchronicity with all of that.
Yeah, and also it's like, if we think about touch and how clothes feel on your skin, that's really important. And obviously like loungewear is generally more cozy, comfortable. But then you have other fabrics as well that are extremely comfortable. Like, I really enjoy wearing silk. I enjoy wearing linen because of the way it feels on my skin. I prefer natural fibers as much as possible because I really try to encourage us all to become more conscious consumers and start to really think about what we're buying, why we're buying it.
Who we're buying it especially.
But the way it feels on our skin is really important because there's nothing worse than like a rough material on your skin, especially if you're, speaking on camera or you're just at home, relaxing or whatever. You want to have a good quality fabric that when it's on your skin, it feels nice, right?
Is there any textile for you that invokes a memory? You know how everyone has like either a favorite blanket or there was a favorite dress growing up that was a certain material or style. Is there anything from your childhood that you've brought into your personal world of fashion?
Silk.
So it is silk. It goes back to when you were, and
Yeah.
I bet a lot of people would actually have some textile that unknowingly invokes some memory of some sort. Is there, for you, what was it? Was it a dress when you were little?
Yeah, and my mum's silk scarves.
Oh yeah.
Playing dress up and like putting her silk scarves on and like silky dresses. Yeah, most definitely. It kind of brings up that feeling of tenderness.
Yeah, because it is delicate material.
Yeah. And I just always remember loving the feeling of it on my skin. And the fact that, it was my mum's as well. And so every
Yeah.
time I wear something silk, it does remind me of her. And it brings like that tenderness of like a young child, innocent child playing, because that's what I
Yeah.
was, doing. I was just having fun playing with these characters that I was building up in my mind.
I know the beauty of imagination, right? It shows what all the infinite possibilities are. And you could just, at that age, you could really be anyone.
Yeah.
I love that your mission is to bring that back to women who, are trying to find their way back to that space before society told them they were this or that. How do you walk women through that journey, right? Because everybody has a different style or something that really resonates with them. How do you uncover that for your clients?
Yeah, so for me, it's very much about tapping into your inner world. So it's really going inward. Because here's the thing, like you can hire a personal stylist that can help you like work out what works, what works for your body best, what colors. But really, if you don't tap into how you feel and how you want to feel and the relationship you have with yourself and your body, I think that just hiring a personal stylist is not really sustainable because you're just going to go back. So my mission is to really empower women to actually find that style within them, because it's within us. We just need to tap into it. Like I'm sure most of us played dress up when we were kids, in some form or another. So it's just tapping into that inner child and into going inwards, like really sitting with yourself and understanding yourself more, which then leads us to know what we like and what we don't like and how we want to feel. And then from there, when we go through the process of the inner world, we look at confidence, we look at the relationship you have with your body, and then we look at, okay, how do I want to feel? How do I want to show up in the world?
Yeah, and a lot of that too is that self-love, right? This with the body mostly, right? Reframing the way you view it, because the world is seeing you one way. And a lot of the times we have this boxed view of what we think is perfection, which we all know really doesn't it doesn't exist. We are perfect in our own unique being that we are.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I find a lot, is that a lot of women come to me and they have a lot of struggles with their bodies.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Because we're being told constantly we should be a different way.
We're getting so many mixed signals. And I think what's intimidating now is, and I feel sad for the younger generation. I think my son's generation, he's Gen Z, he's 16.
Mm-hmm.
He's the first generation to be born basically I call it on stage. It's the first one that had devices around, since they were little, and the amount of pressure that they have because everything's on social media. As an adult, it's difficult, right? To see all these beautiful polished pictures and everyone having like what society shows as perfection. It's a lot of pressure to try to keep up with that. So how do you help women reframe their personal view with the clothes? Because you just help them find pieces that work best for their body type?
Yeah, exactly. So we do a lot of work on like body acceptance and body neutrality, I like to call it, where like, because here's the thing, if we like I've obviously suffered from a lot of body image issues when I was younger, from having an eating disorder, and through all the work I've done, I've come to realize that an affirmation saying I love my body when you're not feeling that, it can help, but if you're not believing that, then it's not going to do anything for you, and it could in fact trigger you more. So it's more going into like how you feel within your body and how you want to feel, rather than creating these affirmations, which often kind of disassociate us slightly, because if we don't believe them and we keep repeating them, it's not working.
Yeah, one of my mentors, actually, I'm part of his name's Aubrey Marcus. I'm part of his Fit for Service community. So it's like a community of only 150 people that we get together for summits, and it's all about being of service to the world. But a woman had brought this up on one of our calls, and he talked about the power of self-ritual, like actually even doing something where you're thanking your body, like touching and thanking, whether that's body cream or whatever, to really start physically like being one with your body. Because I think so many times where it's almost like we're disconnected a little bit from it.
Oh yeah, we totally are. And I think the problem is that we're so in our heads and we're not in our bodies. And so the more we can get into contact with our body, whether that's through some form of yoga or exercise,
Exactly, yeah.
or it's like you said, like nourishing the body with body oil, or even just like cleaning your teeth mindfully. Like for me,
Yeah.
it's very much about the more I give myself love and care, the better I feel about my body. So, and that's what you eat, obviously. It's, you know, and what you're putting on your body. So that's where clothes comes in, because I truly believe that style is an act of self-love, because you're taking care of your image. And that doesn't mean to say that you're bothered about what other people think. No, it's more about how you feel and your own self-image, because that really, in essence, is the most important. Because when you're really in your body and you feel good in your body, that shines through.
No, I believe it. I mean, when you feel like you're truly representing, if you're the modern vintage queen or whatever it is,
Yeah.
you embody it. You see it, your shoulders are pulled back more. You're walking down the street with confidence, even in the time we're in now, even if it's just to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
There's more like pep in your step. And that is like so magnetic in
Yeah.
many ways. I know there was an argument in Norway, not an argument, but it was in the news on, you know, the fact that women shouldn't be as fashionable in the boardrooms and all of that, that it was really, there was this sort of going back and forth on if you wore a dress that was too floral, that perhaps it wasn't as acceptable. I actually had a woman tell me that over there during a tech conference, because I was wearing a blue dress and she was wearing a black suit. And she mentioned that women coming in as if they dropped off a runway was harming the movement, that they should be wearing suits, basically.
Interesting.
Tell me how the rest of that conversation went.
Yeah, I guess, but you know what? That's the association that people have with a suit or a certain industry. It's like, oh, we need to be taken seriously, so I have to wear a black suit. Do you see what I mean? It's like, why do I have to stifle my creativity?
Exactly. That's my whole thing. I see it as art as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
my grandma, I see it as art, and I also see it as a cultural expression of, you know, how I grew up. And it's similar to you, right? I had a grandmother who was extremely, like, when I look back at her pictures when she was younger, wow, she was just this glamour queen, but this was who she was. It wasn't that she was trying to impress the world. It was, she took pride in her, she was so proud of her femininity. She oozed it. And
Yeah.
so I'm grateful that I had that as a model, because that's what I bring into my life when I'm in that mode. I love and I appreciate, especially when artisans, things that are handmade, the love that's placed into bringing any form, whether it's jewelry or clothing or scarves, any of that to life. And you see more of that in Spain, actually. And I love that about when I went, I haven't been to Madrid, but when I went to Barcelona, all the little shops that have their artisan workshops in the back, and pieces by hand. The bygone era in many ways, because you can get access to the smaller artisans. Ultimately, to get that level of workmanship, you'd be buying higher up, like what they would call black label.
Right.
Thing. Yeah. So we're in the time of COVID, and the whole idea of this journey is to get people to really connect back to their inner child and get more playful, even within, I always like to say, drawing circles and boxes. So we're in the box, but there's no reason why we can't create differently within it. So what are some activities or exercises that someone can do to reconnect with what's in their closet, right? Because a lot of the times people look in and their closet could be packed and they're like, I have nothing to wear. What's some advice there with even that, just there, going into your closet and finding, how do you advise people to navigate that in the process?
Sure. So first of all, right now we have more space and time because we're not, really going out. So it's a perfect time to really look at our style and really connect more with our inner world. So the first thing I would do is, so I would sit down and start to visualize, who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? So I would visualize a year's time, 3 years' time. We don't want to go too far into the future, but 1 to 3 years' time. And just start to let your imagination run wild, and don't try to, force images to come. Just sit and be. Imagine how you want to feel. Imagine what colors you'd be wearing. And what happens here when we start to go into this, images will come, words will come. It's a really pleasurable experience. And in fact, I have a MP3 that I'll let people have to be able to do this, which is me actually guiding you into this process. So what this does, and you want to do this a few times, is you start to get more clarity. And after, I always ask my clients to journal, just journal what comes up, any words, any images, any scenarios, any people that come into it, how you were feeling, what colors did you see. And then after a few sessions, what will happen is you'll start to get more clear on like your style. So the objective is to get 3 style keywords.
Oh, wow.
So these could be anything from creative, elegant, minimal, sophisticated, vibrant, colorful, casual, classic. So it could be an array of words. And what we want to do is tap into 3. Once you've got that, I like people to go and have a look, go and create a mood board. So you can either do this digitally, but if you prefer to be off the computer, which I understand as well, and it's also very fun to cut and paste.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it's like something that we did a lot when we were kids, right? We made collages and stuff. So I think it's a really nice project to do. So just to cut and paste, it doesn't necessarily have to be images of clothes. It can be like a sunset, maybe if those colors resonate with you, whatever resonates with you, to start putting it on this board. And then we'll start to get a clearer picture of the style. So you'll start to see, various things come up. Maybe like you have a love for earth colors, so you'll naturally be drawn to them, so they will start to appear on your mood board. So once you've got your mood board and your 3 keywords, then you can go to your wardrobe and start to have some fun. And first of all, I would open up my wardrobe and I would ask myself, does this wardrobe represent who I am now and who I aspire to be? And so then you can start to pull things out, and some things will be really obvious that you're like, no, this is not who I am anymore, and it's definitely not who I aspire to be. So then you can start to either sell those things or give them away or whatever.
Right.
And once you've got rid of some stuff, you'll have a pile that's probably a maybe, which is great. So I always say to keep that to one side for at least 6 months. If you don't touch it in that time, it's probably because it's not meant to be yours anymore, and so it's time to
say goodbye. Oh my God, that's like 3/4 of my closet.
So when you've got like your kind of yeses, let's say, then I want you to play. I want you to try them all on. I want you to play with different accessories that you have and really start to embody this person who you aspire to be. Like the style you really aspire. And also by doing this, you'll start to feel, oh yeah, I really love this texture on my skin, this fabric. I love this color. Not so keen on this color. Or how can I add more of my personality to like a basic t-shirt? Or maybe you have a hat or some earrings. So really start to play. And then what happens when you do that is you start to see where you might be missing things. And then you can start to make a list. Oh yeah, I'd like to buy some more big earrings or hats, or I need a belt, or I really need a certain type of blazer, you know. So then you can start to fill in the holes. And so the next time you go out to buy, you have more of a plan of like,
Right,
okay,
instead of just buying to buy, which most of us do.
yeah, because this is what happens all the time. Like I go to clients' houses, or when we do on Zoom, and they're like, yeah, I have this top and this top, and they're all literally so similar. And it's because we never really know what we have. We've never really allowed ourselves to have fun and play. We've never given ourselves permission to do this. So it's like immediately we'll go to a store and we'll be like, oh yeah, black top. And we'll have like about 10 similar black or white tops, you know. And so we're actually wasting money, and we've got stuck energy in our wardrobes.
No, that's a good point. And it's true. I think most people don't use half of the wardrobe or maybe 3/4 of it that's in their closet. What I love about the mood board is, one, it can be a family event, right? You can have a play dress up day on a Friday or Saturday and put the collage, but the collage is visual. So it also allows people to match color schemes that normally, if you just said it out loud, for instance, say a leopard shirt with a cobalt blue skirt, right? In theory, that doesn't sound like it would go, but when you see them together, it's actually like, wow, it's magnetic. So I love that you have your clients do that, because it makes a lot of sense. Plus,
and what's nice is like exactly like you can start to see how we don't have to wear pink and black or pink and white or pink and gray. We can wear pink and orange.
Yes.
Pink and green or pink and blue. You know, it's like you start to realize, oh yeah, I don't have to be so in a box.
Exactly.
Right? I can mix patterns. You know, there is a thing with patterns. So if you want to mix patterns, one needs to be slightly smaller optically than the other.
Yeah.
For it to be more balanced. But again, no rules. If you feel good and it makes you feel good, and you feel like you look good and it makes you feel inspired and empowered, then do what makes you feel good. You know, that it's like, yes, there are kind of like, I don't know if I want to call them rules, but guidelines, you know, like if you have broad shoulders, it's better to wear wider straps than thin straps. But hey, if you feel good in thinner straps, then go for it, you know. So it all depends as well on how things make you feel.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. You're not saying to be anything but who you are in the process. It's really just uncovering all the layers of the opposite, which is just hiding behind the you know, like we were talking about earlier, the downplaying of it all, instead of celebrating the fullness and boldness of what's really all the magic that is inside of us that gets pushed in. And that's why this journey is so important with even the work you're doing, because yes, it's textiles, but it's a part of the journey. And it also is not so much about touch, but it heightens the rest of the senses, right? In many ways, I feel like all the senses clearly are intertwined. One will spark the other. You'll either have all of them playing together or a couple of them playing when you light that spark. But to your point, when that inner child is alive, so is all the creativity. That's the fuel for the dreams. That's what really keeps us going and living our life's purpose. It's less about the doing and more about the connecting with that. The offering of that space is magic.
Yeah.
Bring into to our adult lives. Are there any other exercises that you have people do or you would recommend for this time?
Yeah. So another nice thing to do actually in the morning is, you know, how do I want to feel today? Because, you know, especially right now, we can get up and be like, oh, another day. It's a bit like Groundhog Day, isn't it?
It does. Oh,
every day is the same, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always like, okay, how do I want to feel today? And so depending on how I want to feel, I'm going to get dressed for how I want to feel. And there's days, you know, like I said, we can feel a bit low, lacking confidence or whatever. That's the day when you need to be getting dressed. And like you want to be putting on some bold colors or some print or some red lipstick or even high heels, even if you're just sitting at your desk, because that's when you really need that lift. And clothes are so powerful, so powerful.
I love that because it is a choice, right?
Yeah.
Every every day we wake up, we can decide what it is that, even if you're feeling a little bit down, at some point in the day, you can do things to try to shift your perspective. But I love that you ask yourself that. That is a very simple but powerful exercise that people can incorporate into their mornings. Like, what is the day going to be like? And again, it's also the play, right? Because say that day you feel like being, you know, more classic, but the next day a little more glamorous, or you want to play rock, you're feeling more of a rocker kind of vibe, and you're bringing out your jeans with maybe a cool top. It allows, again, to open that window of adult play, which we lose along the way.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I feel like, and funny enough, last year in the summer, I was in a workshop, and I'll never forget this one phrase that the guy who was giving the workshops said. He said, "Life is a playground. Have fun." And I was like, "Oh my God, yes."
It is so, so true. It is a playground. It's just up to us to really activate what we want that world to look like, no matter what, no matter what's being thrown at us. It goes back to imagination. Our imagination is boundless, and what we can create in what may look like stale four walls is, again, also boundless. It's really just what we want to do. It's really up to us.
Yeah. We all have a choice. We really do. Mm.
No, I know. And the beautiful thing about that is that when you can activate that, it resonates with everyone around you, right? So it kind of lifts the vibration of, you know, if you have neighbors or your family, being able to do that is not just a gift for yourself. You take care of yourself first, but it also gives to everyone around you. And again, I feel like it's a fun project that you can do as a family to reconnect with that stuff.
Yes, most definitely. And like you said, it's like when you feel good, it's a domino effect. Whoever's around you is going to feel good, is going to feel magnetic and energetic and vibrant. You know, we all have those people that we're very drawn to, magnetism.
Yeah. Is there any story from a client perspective where it just was, I'm sure there's a lot of beautiful stories there, but one that was like, wow, this really shifted someone's life at a way that was beyond measure?
Yeah, definitely. So I had a client that I did a photo shoot with last year, and in the summer, and a female entrepreneur, and you know, she was kind of at a crossroads in her life, and she wanted to like up level her business, and she needed some images, and she was like, I really need some help. And so we completely changed her image. She got her hair cut, she changed her hairstyle, she wore different colors, she wore some prints, like she got her makeup done. She never would wear makeup before, and, you know, and we didn't cake it on. It was very natural because that's who she is as well.
Right.
And so we did this photo shoot for her, and her confidence soared because she was so scared of the camera as well. And after that day, she like her life has changed. Like her business soared. She decided to move from the city she was living in to another city. She, you know, she made some kind of life-changing decisions as well, all based on that. The way she saw herself was different. She saw herself in a different light.
Yeah, she saw the power of who she was. Yeah.
Yeah. Her confidence like skyrocketed.
It's everything, really.
Yeah.
When you can self-love yourself to that level, I mean, it carries over into every single life sector. Family, business, they're all interconnected. That's the thing. So whatever's showing up in business eventually shows up. Like if you have cracks in the foundation that show up in business, it'll show up in your personal life as well. So it's best to, like you said, do the inner journey work and then bring that out into the world, because it's a beautiful domino effect in the right way. Like everything works out that way. Is there a mantra for you personally that you carried into 2021, or that keeps you going through, you know, all the different waves and changes and transformation that we're currently in right now?
yeah, it's be open to possibilities.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us today and for joining us on this journey. I know you're gonna gift the meditation, so we'll make sure everyone gets it through
Sure.
the visualization that you mentioned. Well, that they get it through email, and I look forward to collaborating with you again in the not too distant future. But thank you for what you do for empowering women to truly step into their boldness and live their best life's purpose.
Thank you so much. It's been an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure.